Good to go.
All right, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining our Tech Talk today. So we have a job placement Q&A today. So go ahead and have your questions ready about interviews, technical interviews, resume help, LinkedIn help, anything regarding to uh, job placement and landing a job in tech. So have those ready. But we have our job placement staff here, and Brett is going to give us a little introduction on what the job placement staff do, and then we'll get into questions. So thank you guys for being here, and take it away, Brett.
Okay, well, welcome everyone. It's great to be here, and I've been with the Tech Academy since basically since the beginnings, and the Tech Academy has been around for it's getting close to 9 years. I guess probably maybe 8.5. And one of the key things that that was really always a part of the mission of the Tech Academy was to not only teach people how to code, but to actually get them hired in the industry. We know that that's ultimately what the majority of our students are looking for, and we genuinely want to make sure that happens for everyone that's looking for a job. So and I've had several different roles in the company, but job placement for me is probably the most rewarding experience, because I've seen so many of our students get hired. And when I say that, I don't want anyone to think, oh, I haven't gotten hired, so I must just not be as good as all these other people that have gotten hired. But that's not the case. And I'm confident that everyone here that's looking for a job can get a job, get something that they're happy with. So we put a lot of work into the information that we give to students. Of course, we have the job placement course. We have a lot of really good information in there. But I think with that, we can go ahead and just open it up to questions instead of me just trying to give everyone more information, because a lot of the information, frankly, that I can give here is a lot of what's already covered in the job placement course. So I would love to answer any questions that anyone has. So go ahead and type in the chat box, or you can unmute your mic and speak live, whatever you'd like to do.
So it looks like we actually have yes, sir.
Well, I was just going to say, if somebody wants to ask a verbal question, just go ahead and raise your hand.
Oh, yeah.
It's at the bottom of the screen, and then I'll unmute your mic. And attendees can post questions in the chat. One thing, Brett, we do have some attendees here that aren't Tech Academy students. So can you just kind of let people know what you do for students after graduation?
Yes. So really, it's really simple, actually. We help students to get hired. So they go through our job placement course, and then even after that, we continue to help out wherever we can. So we check up on students, make sure that they're continuing to move forward and following the guidance that we've given. We love when students keep in good contact with us. Just in general, students that keep in really good contact with us are those that kind of tend to be the most successful, or find something the quickest. But really, it's really as simple as that. We just help the students to find work, and we continue to give them tips and tricks and the knowledge that we have that have helped students in the past, or graduates in the past, to find work.
Yeah, I can jump in too. So a little bit more about what we do is we'll help with mock interviews, and also we really are about encouraging you to get networking. So even if you're not into job placement quite yet, or you're not even on your job search, being on LinkedIn and just building your connections and really having like a news or a news feed full of different tech professionals and different encouragement and job postings and just general advice. So just networking is something that we really do focus on a lot after you graduate.
All right, cool stuff.
Thank you.
There are a couple of questions in chat. Regina, do you want to get those?
Yes. So first question, are there any interview traps junior developers need to keep an eye out for?
Interview traps, you said?
Yes.
I don't know that there's really any. I don't know that you typically see interview traps more than anything. And I've worked with. I know I've worked with quite a few of the students and graduates here that are attending. So a lot of what I say here they may have heard before, but the fact that you can be asked anything in an interview can be pretty daunting for obvious reasons. You simply can't prepare for everything that's going to be thrown at you. But again, as far as traps go, I don't think that's something that that people or that interviewees typically have to worry about. It's really simply about trying to be as prepared as possible. So there's not So I think really that's my answer. That it's just about being as prepared as possible, because the interviewers, I don't think most of them are looking to set any types of traps for you. They just want honest feedback from you, and looking for just the general knowledge that you have, and looking for someone that is more than willing to continue learning and wanting to add value to their company.
I agree with that. And I think for someone coming from like an outside perspective, with some of the questions they do ask in their technical interviews, it might seem like it's like some sort of a trap. Like if you don't pass this, you don't get the job. And it's not like that in most cases, because they care more about the thought process, like how you're going to solve the problem, rather than an actual maybe answer, if it's a technical interview, of course. So I think even you explaining it, how you would solve the situation, it still work fine for them. So again, I do agree. I don't think they're like setting any traps, but it might look that way. But another question, do you guys have a tech academy school in Colorado area? So we do have a Portland here in, we do have a campus here in Portland, Oregon. And our program can all be studied online. We do have a campus, and students can come in if they live within this area, if they want like a classroom feel and just change the scenery. But everything can be studied online. You can contact your instructors throughout the day as well. So we don't have a location in Colorado, but again, like I said, everything's online and you can connect with us throughout the day. Next question. Or did you have something to say, Rick?
Go ahead.
All right. So, what is the median income for a starting graduate, would you say? I've passed up some 50K offers from companies always hiring. What are your experiences with these?
It really is right at about 60,000 a year. But yeah, having said that, it really depends on your area. So it's it's 60,000. But if you're offered something at around 50,000, I generally say go for it, because you've got places like, we've got quite a few students in California that that can expect quite a bit more than and some other locations of students. So that kind of brings the the average up quite a bit. So unless you live somewhere like California, you're probably looking more, something closer to 50,000, and 50,000 for for a lot of our graduates is a great starting wage or salary. So that's probably what you're looking at.
Yeah, I think like it also depends on your situation. Like if you're trying to find a job right away after graduating, then maybe you should take that offer, and then after a few like 6 months or to a year, then look for another position, and you will see that salary increase as you have more experience and apply for more jobs. Um, but again, it depends on your situation. If you're okay, financially stable right now to like wait and look for another job, maybe you can do that because you can get a higher paying job. But again, it depends on the situation. All right, next question. How much are the cost of the boot camps? So we have 5 different boot camps, our main boot camps, and we have a software developer boot camp, a Python boot camp, front end development boot camp. We have a cybersecurity boot camp, and I'm forgetting one. You guys remember which one I didn't list? But anyhow, I'm going to share a link in the chat, and it will go over these boot camps and the different pricings. So we have full-time options, we have part-time options. So full-time would be like studying 40 hours a week. Part-time would be studying 20 hours a week. And the cost will be different on this option. Also C# bootcamp. So it depends which bootcamp you go on. There are different prices. Our most popular one is the software developer bootcamp, just because it covers the most out of everything. Covers JavaScript, HTML, CSS, Python, C#. It has 2 live projects in there. And with our live project, so it's basically like a 2-week period where you're going to be working on a project. And it'll be like working as a developer. You're going to have daily meetings, and then we'll give you stories to build up your project, and then you can actually use that on your resume as an experience. So I did share that link. Let me know if you have further questions on it. We also have a few different financing options. So let me actually get that as well. There you go. Okay. Next question. Along the lines of starting salaries, what do you recommend during the negotiation phase? Should you always negotiate, ask for more, and how does one do that?
Yeah, so it's not always necessary to negotiate. In fact, in some cases, you might just have to rely on your own intuition on when you're interviewing with someone, and you may kind of have an intuition of that what they're offering is something that's not really negotiable. But in most cases, I actually encourage some negotiation around, I'd keep it around 10%, generally speaking. So 10% above what they're offering. Of course, ultimately, it's up to you. If it's something that you're just, if it's way below something that you're willing to accept, then definitely you can try to negotiate higher. But the general rule is that it's always, well, almost always okay to negotiate. The potential employer will expect that you might try to negotiate. I can try to expand on that if you'd like me to. Otherwise, that's simply put, that's what I'd say.
Got it. All right. Next question. How can we get past the fact that nearly every job listing has something like 2 years plus experience, or should products as a requirement just ignore that and apply anyways? Question mark.
Yeah, it can be tough to it can be tough to do this, but you really have to almost ignore those requirements, because honestly, it really is pretty ridiculous when a job is listed for an entry-level developer and they want you to have years of experience. There's really no reason for it. A lot of times, an employee of the company isn't even writing up the job listing. It's some outside, outsourced or third party that's writing up, and they're kind of just writing up what they think is standard. And so a lot of no, the good thing about this is that the fact that they put those things in there, that's going to scare off a ton of entry level or people that would otherwise apply to these jobs. So you be the one that says, yes, I'm going to apply anyway. And then just see what happens. I mean, if they respond to you and they're interested, that obviously means that that they're willing to accept, or at least are interested in someone that doesn't fit all of the requirements. So yeah, definitely send your resume out to any job postings like that.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? If they don't have anything for that position, maybe they have other positions in the company as well. You never know.
Yep.
All right. How much would you say personality is a factor versus technical knowledge when it comes to how companies choose their new hires? And in your experience, are certain personalities more desired than others in this field?
Yeah, it's very important. It's hard to put a percentage on it versus technical experience. Obviously, they want someone that's going to be competent technically, or at least that they think that you'll be a good investment, someone that can learn the technologies that they're looking for you to learn. But yeah, personality is a big deal. But what I say to most everyone, a lot of people have probably heard this here that I've talked to already. But one of the things that's going to be most important, even more than, maybe not more, but pretty significant, is going to be your enthusiasm. So even if you think you have a less than stellar personality, if you don't think you're an extremely charismatic type person, at least show them your enthusiasm, because your enthusiasm in their mind is going to equate to dedication and productivity. And yeah, so both showing enthusiasm and telling them that this is something that you're really really excited about, telling them that their company specifically is something that that you're excited about the products that they're developing. Potential employers typically love to hear that kind of stuff. So that's what I'd say for that one.
That's good. Next question. If someone is open to working abroad, how do you get around requirements asking if you're able to work in that country before actually getting a working visa for there?
Yeah, this one I don't think I have a great answer for. I don't. Yeah, for this one, I have to say I'm not sure. But reach out. Actually, I'm not sure who asked that question, but you can always reach out to me individually. I can get you some more information on that. Yeah, that's not a. Yeah, it's simply just not something I have a lot of information about at the moment.
Okay. Next question. What's more preferable, front end or back end development?
It's pretty similar. You're gonna have a variety of opportunities no matter which you go into. but honestly, most companies are going to want you to wear multiple hats. You just almost can't get away from that anymore. So ideally, you're going to want to have at least some knowledge in both areas. So I think it's pretty 50-50, but if you're going to have knowledge in one, you're going to want to have at least some knowledge in the other.
Next question. Do technology skills and soft skills come into play when looking for a job or a vocation?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you've got to have. If I understood the question correctly, yes. Simply put, you have to have some decent knowledge in both areas, and that's something that we help out with on the job placement course. We do mock interviews. We're always willing to do really either a tech mock interview or soft skills mock interview. We help you to find places where you can find extra resources if needed for to prepare. But yeah, that's something that we help out with, and it's something that's extremely important.
Okay, next question. So this is from Jacob. So local recruiters often contact me to consider senior software developer positions if I meet the required experience. Here is my response to local recruiters who send me invites to apply to positions that typically surpass my skills, care to critique. So thank you, recruiter's name, for reaching out. I have the pleasure of knowing many people from Bombville Power, fantastic folks over there, and a great company. Unfortunately, it seems my entry-level software developer experience doesn't immediately qualify me of the senior developer role. Kindly let me know if I'm incorrect in the assessment. In addition, I'd look forward to any future opportunities you like to pass along my way. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to your input.
Yeah, that was perfect as far as I'm concerned. That's exactly what I would have said. You basically touched upon everything that I would have recommended there. Yeah, I don't think I have anything more to say except that, yeah, that's a really, really good response.
I agree as well. All right, so question from Vicky. What job titles should I be looking for as a full stack software tech academy graduate?
Well, the most common positions are software developer, software engineer, web developer. I'd say those are probably the three top ones. So if you're going to be looking specifically for a tech role or a development role, that's what I would look for. There's a variety of other things, even just made up titles, but those are kind of the three main ones that if you're looking specifically for something that if you're trying to figure out a specific term to use, those are kind of the three top ones.
Okay, next question. Not sure if this is on topic. The automated boot camps that I'm taking does not include a live project. Is it possible to get into one of these separately? I'd like to be able to add it to my resume.
That I don't know. Regina, do you happen to have an answer for that?
So,
Well,
I don't actually have.
I would contact our registration and go over it with them. I'm sure we could work something out. And you can just call the main number on the website and just ask for registration, and they'll work it out with you.
I also put my email in the chat in case you want to email me instead, and I can forward to registration. So just email me or call the school. All right. So next question, what titles should I look for if I do not want to be a web developer? If I have to pick out colors for another web page. But yeah, they don't want to do web development. So what kind of titles should they be looking for?
Yeah, if you don't want to do web development, I guess I should probably ask for some clarification on this. So my question would be, would you be looking for something completely, I guess I shouldn't say completely different, but something different, maybe like other things, other programs we offer, like cybersecurity or UI, UX. Is that what you're thinking? Something like that? Otherwise, if you're still looking for just general software development, but not web development specifically, yeah, but what I would do personally is I would just go for software development, software developer. Just be general as far as your search goes. Yeah, but again, I'm not sure if you're saying you want to stay outside of or you want to do something outside of kind of general software development, you want to go into something UI UX, then obviously you'd want to search for terms like UI UX or design or something like that. So I'm not sure if I answered the question, adequately there, but that's what I'd say.
Well, I think like you could look for like a database or backend work. That's kind of what your focus would want to be if you don't want to do any web development.
All
Yeah,
right. So
some other great positions would be like testing, professional, quality assurance, anything that would be using SQL and databases in the back end. So basically, you would just be searching for back end positions if you don't want anything to do with like the aesthetics or the front end, which is anything that people would see on the web page.
all right. So those are another question. Would you recommend reaching out to people on LinkedIn that work at a company you applied for to possibly get your foot in the door?
Sorry, I just missed that question. Can you read that one more time?
Yeah. Would you recommend reaching out to people on LinkedIn that work at a company you applied for to possibly get your foot in the door?
Yeah, that's a really good idea, actually. Connecting on LinkedIn is always good. In fact, when especially if there's a job that you're really set on, or something you're really interested in and you already applied, then yeah, find someone on LinkedIn that is an employee of the company. It can be one of the developers that you find there, or it can be someone in HR, and reach out to them, let them know that that you're really excited about what they do, that you already applied, but you thought you'd try connecting with them through LinkedIn as well. That's never a bad idea. Just in general, connecting with people on LinkedIn and trying to just trying to get information is really good. But like I said, yeah, following up from places that you already applied to with people on LinkedIn is a great idea.
Well, and Brett, what would you say with just coming out of COVID now and things getting back to normal? How are things with remote work, and what kind of ratio are you having with like students get hired for remote jobs to working at the company location?
It used to be extremely difficult to find remote work for entry-level developers. Now it's like 50-50. And so it's not difficult. It's really not difficult. I mean, the difficult part is getting a job, but in terms of whether you want to work locally or remote, that's yeah, you have plenty of options there.
50-50.
Yep.
Good stuff.
All right. So Jacob actually has asked us to maybe if we could critique his resume. He actually put it in the chat. I don't know, Brett, can you open it and actually you're doing it? I don't know if you are, but let me
Yeah, and
actually
I think
see if
that
you have.
yeah, I can reach out. I can reach out to you, Jacob, later on. In fact, I think today, and I can look over this and get back to you for you.
All right, sounds good. All right, any other questions? Well, I have a question. So for someone who, I'm not sure where everyone is within their boot camp, if you're currently in a boot camp, but what is a typical interview, a tech interview look like? What are the process and the different steps?
Typically, what you're looking at is just kind of general tech questions. So if you've been in a mock interview with me or any of our job placement team, that's kind of what you're looking at. They'll ask you to just kind of tell them in your own words, or define for them in your own words certain terms. They may ask you about your familiarity with certain software. They may ask you to describe how you might solve a coding question, or they could even put you in front of a whiteboard to solve something. Maybe it's some kind of algorithm, or they'll ask you to write out a function, something like that. More than likely, though, instead of a coding challenge in person, they'll send you something. They'll say, here's kind of a coding evaluation. Complete this, and then we'll get back to you about how we think that you did. And so that's more common these days. But yeah, that's generally how it goes.
I don't know if
Well,
Greg has something.
Yeah, not sure if you had something to say.
I know. Like,
I did want to interrupt. So Brett, what about for networking? What kind of things do you recommend? Like there's meetups and that kind of thing. What do you encourage?
Meetups are always good. You can do a lot of remote meetups now too, which makes it easier. But number one, I'd really go with LinkedIn. I mean, it's really your number one tool. It's where everyone's at. Even just liking and commenting on posts is going to be significant. Man, yeah, when you know people, I'm sure everyone here knows that, when you know people and you have connections, it's so much easier to find something. So LinkedIn is always going to be a good friend of yours. And yeah, kind of like what I mentioned before, don't be afraid to reach out directly to people. If for example, if there's a company that you're really interested in, find someone in their team, again, whether it's a developer or someone in HR, reach out to them, let them know what you're looking to do. Let them know that their company is something that you're really excited about, the work that they're doing, the products that they're creating and working on. And typically from what I see, they'll generally get back to you, which is a really good thing. And yeah, so being familiar with Tech Academy and doing work, I said Tech Academy, I meant LinkedIn, and doing work there in LinkedIn is a really good idea.
Speaking of LinkedIn, Brett, what do you recommend to students for how to set up their LinkedIn for when they graduate.
Yeah, that's something that we go over. A lot of people here that have already gone through the course are probably familiar with this already, but just making sure that you have a great profile picture. That's something that I always push, because whether it's whether this is a good or a bad thing, or if it's superficial or whatever, you want an employer to immediately see your profile picture and think to themselves that this is a person that I want to talk to, that I want to have in for an interview. I mean, it's really that important. You want to have as good of a first impression as possible, and that makes a very significant impression. And then having an about section, and having an experience section, um, and just adding the jobs that you've had in the past, anything from the past 5 to 10 years. And even if it's not tech related, that's completely fine. You're not expected to have all tech jobs. And then anything else that you can do to just kind of fill out your profile page. I mean, you can add the different skills that you have. You'll kind of see a lot of things are kind of self-explanatory there on the page of different things that you can do. So go ahead and just kind of do your own research into how you can effectively fill out your LinkedIn profile. And I'm always willing to look at profiles and give suggestions.
Good stuff.
And also, just to add on to that, I've heard another recruiter here in one of these tech talks talk about how you can just list all the experiences you've had, or like all the languages but just going into detail about each language, like what you did on a certain project, what languages you use, how you use those languages to create your projects, that will also fill out your LinkedIn a little bit more. But there's another question. So are there any students or staff projects we can participate in, like projects after graduating, after graduate skill building, like any Linux projects, etc.? I usually tell people to like maybe go on Google and search some projects they can do as a junior developer. But Brett, do you have any tips for that?
Yeah, it's hard to really know what to what to work on after you graduate, because there's so many resources out there, a ton of free resources as well. I mean, you can go, I always tell people you can go as simple as just finding a YouTube tutorial, following along, because there's still a lot of good ones there, just even on YouTube. But I always push projects. I mean, try to find, and this was, I guess, stated in the question, but yeah, try to find a project. It can be just something small if you want it to be. And like, for example, if you went through the C# course, maybe do a type something like a tutorial for C#, MVC, React, something like that, and you'll be able to find something, and then just follow along with the project, and make sure that you upload it to GitHub, because you always want to show that you're at least somewhat active on there. And of course, you get to say that you worked on and even potentially completed a project. And the way I see it, if you're working on projects, just kind of by default, you're learning skills. And I think that generally you learn skills better as you work on projects. Now, of course, if you don't have any skill at all, then first you need to kind of learn the fundamentals. But again, in general, projects, it's all about projects. You want to start working on a project and try to see it through to completion.
Agreed. So to continue that question, so if you follow along with YouTube tutorials, wouldn't that be cheating because you're copying, etc.? I personally wouldn't think so, just because, again, you have to, of course, know the fundamentals. Like if you're trying to do a Python project, actually understand Python topics before you start doing a project. But once you know your topics and you're doing your project, then I think watching a tutorial on how someone creates a project and follow along with that is just like a learning process. Now it's up to you if you want to put that project on your resume or not, but I think just the process of watching someone doing something and basically taking their idea of it and making it into your own and changing different things, it's just a learning process. Like you doing a project is the reason for that is just so you learn how to do it. So I don't think it's considered cheating. But
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's cheating at all. In fact, almost all code, well, the majority of code that you see around is just lifted off of other people's code. Now, I mean, yeah, they kind of take different code from different areas, but a lot of the times, most of the code is just copied from someone else, and that's kind of what you're expected to do anyway. As a developer, you're just going to be taking a bunch of code that someone already wrote, because if you're not doing that, frankly, you're probably not doing it the right way, because your manager, whoever's over you, isn't going to want you to take the time to start reinventing the wheel. They're going to say, why aren't you just taking what's already there so that you're more efficient? So as long as you're taking the code and you're following along in the tutorial and you know what's happening, so that if a potential employer ever asks you about it, you can let them know that you have a decent understanding, so that it doesn't look like you just took a bunch of code and just pasted it into GitHub. So as long as you you sort of know what the code does, and you're honestly, we're following the instruction given on the tutorial, there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever.
Yeah, just understanding is the key.
Exactly. All right, another question. Can you add projects from Free Code Camp or Code Academy and put those together onto GitHub?
Definitely. Yep. And yeah, and I would just add on GitHub, like maybe in the README file, just say what you did. Say this is something you worked on whatever website or you got the project from. Just let it be known. And I think as long as you do that, you're all good.
Yeah, when you go through like an interview or that kind of thing, they are going to ask you, certain parts of your code. So you do need to understand it and be able to explain it to them.
Yeah, if I see that if in the README file I see that you were working on this project and it was from Free Code Camp website or wherever it might be, that'd be great. I'd say, oh wow, that's great that you're able to work on that project and you're able to put it up on here. So that's good.
Yeah, I agree. I think once the interviewer is interviewing you about this type of stuff, they just want to make sure you understand the topic. They don't care where you got the idea from. They don't care what kind of a project it is. As long as it's a decent project and you can actually explain it, that's the most important part, because the whole purpose of you explaining your project is you showcasing your skills and letting them know you actually can do the job. Any other questions? Oh, one more. Can I take some HTML code from a website of a store and save that to GitHub?
So I save it to GitHub. If it's publicly available, then yes, you can add it to GitHub, and then just like I said before in the README file, just make sure to say what it is. Don't claim it as as your own. But yeah, if it's publicly available, then yeah, that's fine.
Sorry, I don't know if Rick is going to say something. I don't want to interrupt.
No, I think it's a great presentation.
Oh, okay. So he says, why can't I claim it as my own? Okay, so if if it's your code, then yes, you can definitely claim it as your own, unless you've signed some agreement where some non-disclosure agreement or something where you're not supposed to, where it's not supposed to be publicly available or available to the public. Otherwise, yeah, you can definitely claim it as your own.
Got it. Any other questions before, I know it's coming close to the 2 o'clock mark, but let me know if you have any questions. Also, this talk is being recorded and we are going to post it on our YouTube channel later. Yep, and it looks like if you guys want to leave your LinkedIns in the chat to connect with each other, maybe work on projects together, feel free to leave your LinkedIn in there. You guys can also follow our LinkedIn. Let me pull it up. 1 second.
Well, it looks like Marquita, with her link, says that her company is hiring junior developers right now.
Oh yeah, that's fantastic, Marquita. Thank you for that. So I assume you mean that anyone that is interested can connect. So that's awesome. So everyone, take a look.
Thank you, Marquita. So I was going to share the Tech Talk playlist with you guys. As I said, this is recorded and we're going to post it to our YouTube channel. So feel free to check it out later today. Matt said I wasn't sure I could take the HTML code as my own. I used the inspect element from their website and it was all HTML. I wanted to take that code but put it in my GitHub. Again, so it's not about just like copy and pasting your code. It's about just like taking a project, understanding it. And if you actually understand it really well enough to explain it in an interview, then I think that's fine, right? I don't know what you think.
Yeah. Yeah. So if it's not your code, I would let that be known. I mean, if you're taking it and you're kind of using it as a template to just kind of develop something on your own, then yeah, you don't need to. Then yeah, you can claim that whatever project you're creating, you just claim it as your own. I guess I'm more just saying that if you were to take that code and just display it on GitHub and say, this is what I created. And this is, yeah, I personally came up with this, when obviously it's like, it's someone else's website that can be found online, then you wouldn't want to do that. But if you're just taking the code and kind of, reimagining it or rearranging things and kind of making it your own, then it's not necessarily necessary to state that you took it from someone else and or any of that.
Okay. It looks like we have another question. This is actually for Marquita. So how has the time since graduating been for you as a developer? Any tips for us newbies? I don't know if you have the setup to actually answer the question, Marquita, but let me know. But just to let everyone know, just be excited for the new job. Exactly.
Jacob made a good point
So-
in the chat as well with Brett's response. Just be honest when you're doing your interview.
Got it. All right. So like I said, the Tech Talk is recording, so check that out. And then also next week we're gonna have another Tech Talk, and it is actually gonna be one of our graduates going to be talking about basically taking, if you're transitioning from a different field, basically taking what you have in that field and then using that to land a job in tech, or how can you take that skills that you have in your previous field and use it in tech. So check that out if you are interested. Third-party highlights added below 12. All right. Any other questions before we end the call? No? All right. Well, I did put my email in there, so feel free to email me if you do have any questions. But thank you guys for joining us. Thank you, Brett and Carly, our job placement staff. But I hope you guys have a great weekend. Also, next Friday is technically going to be like Halloween weekend. So if you're coming to the talk, maybe dress up. Maybe I'll be wearing something. I don't know, since it's Halloween. But yeah, so you guys have a good weekend, and I'll see you guys next week.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Thanks, Brett. Thanks, Carly. Great information. We appreciate it. Have a great weekend, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.